Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at player props here for Tuesday night's Game 5s. Plenty to choose from in these two games with a couple of offensive performances we feel really good about, especially in the West. But we will get into all of that. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Continue to follow along with us. We are bringing you each and every playoff game video, as well as these player props each and every day of these NBA postseason games. Also want you to head to thelines.com. Make sure you are using the NBA player props tool to shop the best odds out there on all those NBA player props. Also want you to head to play.thelines.com, where you can win a $25 Amazon gift card if you do go to that NBA Daily Pick'em Challenge. Get all of those correct, and we will send you that card. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find those listings in your area, such as tonight's player props. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, no surprise that Dr. Revenge, as Josh calls me, is going with Chris Paul in Game 5. Strong narrative for him to come out strong after he had two bad games in Dallas, and then his family was basically accosted in the stands, adding some fuel to the fire for this rivalry game, Game 5, huge Game 5. And as he goes back home, where he's averaging 7 more points per game in these playoffs, 23.2 points per game with a usage rate that's 5 percentage points higher, up at 25%. The first two games of this series, he put up 23.5 points per game on 62% field goal shooting. And it's not like the Mavs blitzing style completely baffled him. After Game 3, where he had 5 turnovers or 7 turnovers, right? He had just 2 turnovers and 7 dimes in 25 minutes. It's just that he fouled out and was not able to do his thing in the fourth quarter, burning, with mid-range jumpers and assists. I think we'll see a lot more of that in this game. The points prop is just 16.5 right now. When we said he's averaging 23 at home in these playoffs, that's even money. 23 in a win is plus 520 at FanDuel. I really like the juice you can get there. The double-double bonus is there too, but Dallas has done a good job of limiting his assists in the series, and the slow pace has something to do with that. He did have a double-double all 3 home games versus New Orleans, but neither against Dallas at home so far. So I think I just prefer Chris to get his points, because that is something you can certainly control more than how many assists you get. Although there should be plenty of those dimes to come here, because Phoenix has won the battle in the paint every single game in the series, because Dallas is blitzing him and trying to get him to react, and he will react by dropping dimes down low to his bigs. And because Phoenix is probably just going to score a bunch of points all over the place with CP3 orchestrating it all.
Agreed. And I mean, if you like the 23 points and the win, which is just great. I mean, 23 a game at home, as we told you, and he's getting that plus the win, plus 500 on your money. You can't miss out on that. If you wanted to play it even safer and just go 18 in a win, it's still plus 176 for Chris Paul there. So I think, I would love to be able to take the assists. It's only 8.5 on DraftKings. It's only minus 130 as well to take over that. But yeah, I think however you like it, he's going to be coming out like a madman. And if you took points and assists combined, I think he'd still be relying on the points, which feel pretty low at 16.5. Why not grab them? Why not grab a bit more if you think the Suns are going to win, as confident as we are about that as well tonight? So I'm going to move it to the Eastern game here and take Jimmy again. We talk about him pretty much every game, because at this point he's doing it every single game, no matter where he is on the road, at home, etc. Over 37.5 PRA for him tonight, as he's just doing it all over the place and honestly getting you. He got 40 points last game. So that's obviously more than the total points and rebounds and assists combo combined there, minus 108, which is great. You could also talk about 25.5 points for him alone is even money on FanDuel for him to get 26. Also continues to do that at a high rate. Just some of the stuff here, there's some very spicy stuff on DraftKings as well. For him to get 30 points and 10 boards is plus 800 on DraftKings. If you want to talk about combining that with he and Embiid, who, by the way, used to be on the same team and could still be, which is ridiculous. But anyway, 30 plus points for both of them is plus 750, which I mentioned in the game video as well. I don't hate that from those two gentlemen, as I expect a bit more from Embiid as he continues to get healthier. And Jimmy, you just expect that. It's playoff Jimmy time at this point. It's the same guy that took them through the bubble. He's just on a tear, scoring 39% of his points, of his team's points while they were in Philly, because they weren't scoring very many points other than him. And he was scoring a lot, but still nobody was coming along for the ride with him. Who's going to guard guard him. I don't. He's been doing whatever he wants against Danny Green. Pretty much anybody other than Tobias, who's the only one that's really big enough with enough quickness to sort of stay, somewhat in front of him. But as long as he's able to get the switches that he wants, which he's going to continue to do he was even switching with that pick and roll with Bam, which is how he got Embiid on him for a bunch of time and was able to score on the big man, pulling up for mid ranges, not exactly, beating him at the rim mostly, but definitely hitting most of it, 6 for 9 from the field at that point, and hitting one of his 3 threes that he took while Embiid was guarding him as well. So I still like Jimmy no matter what. I'll add all the stats in there because I think he's going to continue to get close to, if not 30 points. And then you got to love him to get 8 boards and assists combined. That's easy. The fact that it's so close to even money for me is like, yeah, go ahead and grab it because Miami at home, better offense, everything. Jimmy opportunity to get way more assists with guys actually hitting their threes at home for Miami. It's all good news for Jimmy Butler's props.
You said 8 rebounds and assists or 8.5?
Well, I'm saying if he gets 30 points, then we're talking about 7.5 boards and assists combined. And I think he's getting close to that.
I think you could look at just the prop for the rebounds and assists. In most series, you would look that way. But yeah, he's taking on such a big scoring load for Miami right now. Where would they be without Jimmy Butler? They'd be completely sunk in the series. They haven't been able to manufacture any offense right now. Aside from Jimmy, it's like 40% of their points the last 2 games. So I feel very confident that he'll do whatever is necessary for his team. And if that's scoring, then yeah, he's probably getting over 26 points for sure, along with those peripheral stats. I mean, he should be all over the place tonight, making sure that Miami does not go down easy at home. And I'm sticking with the Suns. I mean, it's not just about Chris Paul responding here. His teammates are going to rally behind him. And Mikal Bridges is an utterly reliable guy when it comes to stepping up in these home games for Phoenix in these big spots. He, like Chris, has a 5 point per game jump at home in these playoffs, 17 points per game with a 147 offensive rating at home versus 106 on the road, shoots 62% from the floor and 53% from deep at home in these playoffs, playing 41.5 minutes per game. So 20.5 PRA, you're not really getting any value there, but it seems like a really safe bet for Bridges. For him to hit 2 threes is plus 175. I don't mind that. For him to get 2 steals is plus 185. I think I kind of like that a little bit more here because Dallas turning it over 10 times per game on the road in these playoffs versus 7.8 at home. The Dallas defensive rating, like I said in the game video, way worse on the road, 121. They're giving up much better looks from 3. And I just picture this game kind of getting away from them in the third quarter, which is when Bridges usually is a big part of that, getting points off turnovers, getting out in transition, and hitting threes as Dallas continues to try to blitz or double Booker and Paul. It's going to open things up for a third option. And he's been that reliable third option all the way to the finals last year. I think he'll come to play tonight.
Yeah, I love what Monty Williams has been doing with him too in the playoffs, which is obviously he's a starter and one of their probably, if not their third best player, depending on where you put him against Ayton. I probably have him as their third best player, even better than Ayton at this point with how good he is all over the floor and the way his offensive game has come around. I love the fact that he's also playing against the second unit, which is why you're talking about that third quarter where you're right. He does seem to come alive because he does stay on the floor and play against that second unit while Jay Crowder stays in with the starters and fill that role for them in that starter role or in terms of that lineup. I love, it's like Mikal is sort of like he's just coming in and taking on, a bunch of kids at that point, and he's taking on guys that are not nearly as good as him because I have him ranked very highly in terms of his abilities and really even where I have him ranked in the NBA. I think he's definitely up there at this point. I'm going to finish things off in the other game as well. Stick with Miami. And there's only 2 guys you trust right now on Miami. It's Jimmy Butler, who I said earlier, and now I'm taking Bam over 29.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I think he's getting, I said this in the video, I think he's getting a little bit undervalued now because people assume that with Embiid there, he's not going to be able to do as much. And to a degree, they're not wrong that he hasn't been scoring nearly as much against Embiid. But he's gone over 30 points, rebounds, and assists in 5 of the last 7 matchups that he's had against Embiid. And he's averaging about 30 points and rebounds and assists at home in the playoffs versus 24 on the road. So he's doing it a lot more at home. He's one guy who you'd consider a star, but definitely doing a lot more for them. And, the reason he was so good in the first 2 games, obviously Joel wasn't there, but it's in games 3 and 4, it was a similar story where Philly was still allowing, 44-ish points in the paint in those in this series in general and in the playoffs, and then also allowing 14 second chance points a game. So giving up offensive boards, and we know they're not a great offensive rebounding team in general is Philly, which is why you continue to like Bam. I would consider, if you want, just the 11.5 rebounds and assists, because as I said, it is the scoring for him that's a bit down against Joel when he plays against him. But the 8 and 4 essentially that he's averaging, 8 and 5 in terms of rebounds and assists combined. 12, 13 rebounds and assists combined for him, averaging that against Joel. Definitely getting that in the playoffs as well. It's just the scoring that's down a bit. So I would feel even better about that. It's minus 130 on FanDuel right now, which is the best you're going to get for the rebounds and assists. It's just, I do like it a little bit better than the points, rebounds, and assists.
Yeah, and you could probably find an alternate line for that at different books, but I agree. Bam is more about the peripheral stats and the all-around production. That's why you do go with the PRA if you're taking him. And you said it. I mean, those are the two reliable guys for Miami. It's basically like, I don't think anyone's reliable on Philly, even though I kind of think they're going to win this game and win this series. I'm not ready to throw my lot in with Embiid at this level of health or with Harden after one good playoff game down the stretch. He was awful in the previous 3 down the stretch. So it's a wait and see mode from the Sixers offense, but I think we know what we're going to get from Miami's 2 stars as we go back home here. And that's just all around production, great facilitation and rebounding and everything you need to give your team a chance to compete.
100%. Yeah. So that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Continue to follow along with us. We are bringing you each and every playoff game as well as these playoff props. So until we see you next, happy betting.